I think that, going to the gym, working out with a trainer, working on your physical fitness, you see the results. You feel better. You can, measure the size of your biceps. You can see the results immediately. Mental training is harder to measure, and yet, I ask drivers all the time, what percentage of racing is physical versus mental? And most drivers would agree that it's more of a mental challenge than it is a physical challenge.
Focus and concentration is everything. I mean, that's basically where you need to be in the car. You need to be focused on the right things at the right times, and anytime that focus or that concentration is diminished is when mistakes happen.
You don't want to learn to make a huge effort to concentrate to do something right. You know what I mean? It's got to become more natural. Every time you get in the car or in a go-kart or whatever you're going to do, it's got to be more natural.
Our mind is extremely powerful, and it has a big impact on us physically. For example, you take a piece of wood, a plank 20 feet long, and you place it on the ground, and I ask you to walk along it. You'd have no problem doing that comfortably, easy, relaxed. But if I took that same piece of wood and put it up 100 feet in the air and said, now walk along that, your body's going to tense up, you're going to start to sweat, you're going to have anxiety, and you're not going to perform very well. Same thing happens in a race car. We have to be able to control our emotions, control our mental game to be able to perform at our best. Most drivers don't have a proper mental training program, and I think the first step is to go, okay, I spend X amount of time in the gym every week. Well, take some amount of that time, don't take away from that, but if you spend, let's say you spend 6 hours in the gym every week, then spend at least 3 hours doing mental training. What does that mental training consist of? Well, simply doing mental imagery, visualization. If you take the time to make out a list of the things that you want to improve in your driving. On Monday evenings, I'm going to work on my mental mindset towards racecraft. And on Tuesdays, it's going to be, I'm going to work on imagining driving this particular track at the limit, just feeling the limits of the car. And on Wednesday, it's going to be so-and-so. And you really, you have a plan, just like your fitness training program, you have a mental training program. If you do that, for sure, you're going to make improvements. And while it may be a little bit more difficult to measure, it'll show up on the track in the results on the track. I think sim racing, using a simulator, any of these iRacing esports events are fantastic tools for training you with the mental part of it. Sure, the simulator doesn't feel exactly the same way as a car. So don't use it to train so much the physical skills, but use it specifically for maintaining and practicing regaining your focus and attention. If you can get on a simulator and drive it for 45 minutes, I think and maintain your focus that entire time, I think that's like driving a 3-hour real race. Hinchcliffe and Rossi have that podcast. I just listened to it the other day, and they were talking about iRacing and that, and they both said that it is harder to maintain focus on the simulator than it is in real life. Every athlete in every sport has some kind of a pre-performance ritual, whether it's a golfer with how they hold the club and swing and everything, whether it's a tennis player, how they bounce the ball before a serve. They all have a sort of a pre-performance ritual. And the best drivers have the same thing. It's put their game face on. And that's part of a trigger that triggers, now I'm in my mindset to perform at my best.
I always get in the car the same way, through the right side. I couldn't do it in NASCAR, kind of hard. But every other series, I always got in the car. They taught me to always do the same. I get in the car on the right side and always do the belts the same way, like the main belt and right and left. And it's just so you're always comfortable.
I just talk to myself in a few words, try to remind myself of that great moment I need to be in, of that bubble, being in the zone. And I just try to remember last time I did it and try to recreate it.
Shake my mechanic's hands before I get in the car and put on the helmet, get in the car, and once I'm in my little habitat, then that's it. I know what I got to do and how I'm going to do it.
We all make mistakes, and I think part of it also is understanding and accepting that. If you're fighting yourself to never make a mistake, you're going to be tense and you're not going to drive at your best. If you accept the fact that you're going to make some, and then it's a matter of how can you minimize the impact of them, that's when you're going to drive really fast more consistently. Focus is not a matter of maintaining focus, because I'm a great believer that all drivers lose their focus. It's a matter of how quickly can you regain it. You know, for some drivers, they make a mistake and they spend the rest of the lap thinking about that mistake.
You have to get back into your race rhythm as quickly as possible. That's crucial, because every second, every half second, every tenth lost could be the difference at the end of the race. So recovering from mistakes is a tough one, and you certainly get better with experience at it, but you have to build up a certain mentality that everything has to be put behind you.
And that ability to regain focus, and probably using some kind of a trigger or action or something in their mind that says, let that go and let's move on. That is, I think, one of the things that separates the very best, knowing what to focus on, when to focus on it, and then being able to re-trigger when you've lost focus. Paralysis by analysis, that it's fairly common in racing, and it's, you know, drivers overthinking things, whether it's overthinking the setup of the car or overthinking what other competitors are doing, and it's not focusing on their own performance.
I know what I gotta do. You know what I mean? I don't need to sit down 20 minutes and think about it. If you do that, you're overthinking it, you're overcomplicating things. And at least for me, always been that way. The more simple you do things, the better it is.
You know, part of it is you have to have that inner belief, that confidence in yourself that I can do this. I don't have to analyze. I don't have to think. I don't have to be in my mind. I can just trust myself to drive. One of my cues, one of my triggers that I use when I'm coaching drivers is I'll say to a driver, drive, stupid, meaning kind of just turn your brain off. And that is the cue, the trigger for them to go, oh yeah, I'm thinking too much. So you can use this with yourself of just going, drive, stupid, just let your mind go and trust yourself. At the end of the day, whether you've got the skills, you don't have the skills, your physical makeup, anything else, the most important thing is your inner belief. What you believe in yourself and your confidence, that's going to have a bigger factor in your success than anything else.